You don't have a clutter problem. You have a decision problem. Every object in your home, every tab open on your laptop, every maybe later commitment sitting in the back of your mind, none of it is neutral. It's all quietly asking something of you. A little bit of attention, a little bit of guilt, a little bit of, I should really deal with that. There's a word for the practice of ending that conversation for good, not by hiding the mess, not by buying a bigger shelf, by cutting it off at the source. It's called danshari. And once you understand what it actually means, you'll never look at your own home or your own mind the same way again.
Danshari isn't an ancient proverb. It's a modern word, coined in 2009 by a Japanese writer named Hideko Yamashita, in a book that in Japan became something close to a cultural phenomenon. The word is built from 3 separate kanji, and each one is doing its own job. The first character, Dan, means to refuse or cut off. It's about the things that haven't entered your life yet. The purchase you're about to make, the favor you're about to say yes to, the free thing someone's handing you at a conference. Dan is a closed door. The second character, Sha, means to discard. This is the one everyone already understands, clearing out what's already sitting in your closet, your garage, your inbox. The third character, Ri, means to separate or detach. This is the quiet one, and it's the one most people skip entirely. Ri isn't about the object anymore. It's about your relationship to owning things at all. The identity you've built around being someone who collects, who saves, who might need it someday. Most decluttering advice stops at Sha. Throw it away, feel lighter, done. Danshari asks you to go one step further and one step earlier. Stop the things from arriving in the first place, and then let go of the need to hold on. Yamashita didn't invent this from nothing. She built it out of her background in yoga philosophy, and the practice carries a quiet debt to Zen Buddhism's much older idea that attachment itself, not the object, the attachment, is where suffering actually lives.
Here's where most people misunderstand danshari, and it's worth clearing up early because it changes how you practice it. Minimalism, as it's usually sold to you, is a number. Own 100 things. Own 1 shirt. Empty room, empty inbox, empty everything. Danshari isn't chasing a number. It's chasing a relationship. You can practice danshari and still own a full bookshelf, as long as every book on it earns its place. The test isn't how little can I own? The test is, does this still serve me, right now, in the life I'm actually living? That distinction matters because it's the difference between a practice you can sustain and a diet you'll eventually break. Minimalism as a number creates pressure. You're always measuring yourself against an empty room you don't actually want. Danshari creates a filter. You're just asking a question over and over about the things already in front of you. And that question isn't sentimental. It's not, do I love this? It's closer to, does this object, this commitment, this open tab, does it still have a working relationship with the person I am today? Or is it a leftover from someone I used to be?
Let's make this concrete. Here's what Dan, Sha, and Ri actually look like in a normal week. Dan, refusing the future clutter. This one happens before anything touches your hands. The flyer someone hands you outside the station. The buy one, get one free that turns one purchase into 2. The group chat invite for a project you already know you don't have room for. The practice here is a single pause, right before the yes. Not a research project, just one breath and one honest question. Am I taking this because I want it, or because it's easier to accept than to decline? Yamashita's method treats this pause almost like exposure therapy for people who are uncomfortable saying no. The first few times, it feels rude. It gets quiet fast. Sha, discarding by category, not by room. Most people declutter room by room, which sounds logical and quietly sabotages you, because you never actually see how much of something you own. You clean your kitchen drawer and feel accomplished, without noticing you've got the same 3 tools spread across 4 other drawers in the house. The danshari approach is category by category.
Every mug from every room on one counter. Every notebook, every cable, every jacket, all in one pile, all at once. It's uncomfortable specifically because it's honest. You can't lie to yourself about how much you own when it's all in front of you at the same time. Isn't throw away the treadmill. It's notice that you've been keeping a treadmill for 3 years because getting rid of it would mean admitting you're not, right now, a person who works out every morning. The object was never really the problem. The problem was the story it was telling you about who you're supposed to be. Once you separate from that story, the object gets easy to let go of. Before that, no amount of decluttering advice will move it out of the room. Every object you own, even the ones you never look at, has a small cognitive cost. Psychologists call it the ecosystem effect. Nothing sits in isolation. That single unused kitchen gadget also has a box it came in, a place it needs to live, a decision about whether to keep the manual, a moment of guilt every time you see it and don't use it. One object is never really just one thing. That's the mechanism behind why a cluttered space produces a specific, low-grade kind of fatigue that's hard to name. It's not that the room is ugly, it's that every object in it is a tiny, unresolved decision, and your mind quietly keeps a running tally of all of them, all day, whether you're looking at the room or not. Danshari's real function isn't a tidier home. It's fewer unresolved decisions running in the background of your day. That's also why it doesn't stop at possessions. The same mechanism applies to the 15 browser tabs, the unanswered message you keep meaning to reply to, the commitment you agreed to and now dread. Same tally, same fatigue, same fix. You don't need a weekend. You need one category and one honest hour. Pick a single category, not a room. Mugs, pens, t-shirts, cables, something small enough to finish in one sitting. Pull every single one you own into one place. For each item, ask the right question, out loud if it helps. Is this still in a working relationship with my life right now? Or is it here because of who I used to be, or who I'm afraid to stop being? Keep what passes. Let the rest go. Donate where you can, so the object continues its life somewhere it'll actually be used, which honors the motenai instinct against waste that sits quietly underneath all of this. Do that once, with one category, and you'll understand danshari better than any explanation could give you. It's not a rule you follow. It's a question you get better at asking. The goal was never an empty room. The goal was a mind that isn't quietly negotiating with 50 things at once, all day, without you noticing it's happening. Refuse what hasn't arrived yet. Discard what's no longer serving you, and let go of who you thought you had to be in order to keep it. Train your mind, not your willpower.